We have a measured and indicated resource of 235 million, plus we now have an inferred resource as well, taken up to 321 million tonnes. And the exploration target that's based on the magnetics, which is clearly linked to the magnetite, and we know the vanadium is linked to the magnetite, that extends over that whole 25-kilometre strike length, is now very qualified to be estimated at in excess of 1.45 billion tonnes.
Hello, welcome to Assay TV. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Paul Burton, who is the Managing Director of Surefire Resources and an old friend of the company. Paul, great to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah, likewise, Leo. It's really good to see you, and it's good to be back on with one-to-one.
Excellent. Well, you're with a new company now, Surefire Resources. A very interesting company there. You've got this flagship project, the Victory Bore Vanadium Project. Can you give us a little bit of sort of an overview to start things off of the company?
Yeah, we're Perth-based, and all of our projects are in Western Australia, and they're all in existing, very good mining jurisdictions. It's the first thing. And what I can say is that these projects have been developed prior to me joining to a level that is quite advanced. And I was very pleased to see the level of the projects when I was approached to join the company and to take them forward, particularly for the flagship project, which is the Vanadium Project, which I think I can add significant value to. But the other projects are all commodities that are in demand. And I think any junior mining company or exploration company that had any one of these projects would be very pleased at the moment, because they are good projects, good locations, and have a significant potential to add a lot of value to any company.
I mean, as many of our viewers will know, you've got a very strong background in vanadium. So let's start with the Vanadium Project there, Victory Bore. You just announced an increased mineral resource estimate and a new exploration target. Do you want to give us some of those highlight numbers?
Yes, well, from all the drilling work that's been done over this very large structure, which is a continuous over 25 kilometre structure of gabbro that contains very high vanadium content. We have a measured and indicated resource of 235 million, plus we now have an inferred resource as well, taken up to 321 million tonnes. And the exploration target that's based on the magnetics, which is clearly linked to the magnetite, and we know the vanadium is linked to the magnetite, that extends over that whole 25-kilometre strike length, is now very qualified to be estimated at in excess of 1.45 billion tonnes. So this whole area is one of the largest world-class assets of vanadium. And I might also add that the vanadium contents within the resource, the one that we've drilled, and we see no difference as we go down the structure, is very high grade and separates very easily, which is quite markedly different to many other vanadium projects in the country, and certainly the ones that I've used to working on.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned, we talked about this just now, but you worked with a previous company, TNG. They had a vanadium project and a very interesting processing project that you were working on there. How do the two compare in terms of sort of, a grade and then the sort of possible simplicity or complexity of the processing going forward?
Yeah, so the big advantage that the Victory Bore vanadium deposit has is that the vanadium is freely liberated. It's with the magnetite. It's not associated with the ilmenite, and that gives us a much higher grade, and the intrinsic value of the vanadium within our resource is in excess of 1.4%, and we expect it to be higher as we do further beneficiation on that, which is our aim. With the previous company, I developed with the metallurgical groups involved the Taiwan process. That was a process that was patented purely for the Mount Peak ore body, designed for that. And that was to take out the vanadium, the titanium, and the iron to get maximum value. And the reason that approach was made for that deposit is that the grade is slightly lower and a much higher titanium content as well. So it made sense to try and do that. And we wish them well in trying to develop that through. But comparing this resource that we have, because we're closer to port, closer to infrastructure, and this thing is outcropping on surface. In fact, I was just up there the last couple of days with our executive chairman, having a good look on the ground. It lends itself immediately to a vanadium only process. So that de-risks it hugely, because the existing processes that we would use, for example, that's been used at Largo, and we see a lot of similarities between this and Largo. And I suspect that our process will be markedly simpler and therefore much easier for us to get into production, which is our target.
Absolutely, keeping it simple. That's good. And in terms of what are your next sort of steps for the project? It's I believe only about sort of 10 kilometers of the strike has been drill tested. More drilling to expand further?
No, we've got enough on our plate at the moment for certainly to go into production, and there will be some scout drilling to test the exploration target in due course. But we're confident this thing's outcropping on surface. There's not a lot you need to do, and we have enough there for at least a 20-25 year mine life, which is what we will focus on now. We're in the middle of a pre-feasibility study, and that's the next step for us to complete. And we are then looking at discussions with interested parties, both for offtake and/or development opportunities.
Fantastic. Let's briefly touch on some of the other projects you've got there. I've seen that you've there's the Perenjori Magnetite project. It's a very sort of well-established project there with an inferred mineral resource and scoping study completed. What plans do you have for that?
Well, our plans for that is to take it up to the next level, which would be pre-feasibility, which would add considerable value not only to the project but for the company, which we then think will attract significant attention from national and international corporations, as you see a very big swing from hematite to magnetite in the iron ore sector. And this is a huge magnetite deposit. It's over 1.4 billion tons. It's 200 kilometers from the Geraldton port and close to existing rail infrastructure. So we have a very, very strong project there just based on its location. It's outcropping. As I say, it's very, very large. We've just completed an environmental survey that's being reviewed by the company right now, ahead of us then planning the next drilling stage, which would take it up to measured and indicated for a pre-feas pre-feas study. That's our plan. Now, this is a big project. It's one that we think has value from two corporate aspects. One, we could get a partner in to develop the project, or it might be of interest for someone to actually make a proposal to us. The alternative is that we add value for shareholders by putting it into a separate company and letting that develop it separately. So we have a number of options there, all of them very, very positive and nice options to have.
Fantastic. I mean, you mentioned it's sort of close to 200 million tons resource there. In terms of grade, how does it stack up?
Yeah, it's extremely high grade. In ground, it's 36 to around about 40% Fe. When we do the grinding, which is the standard process for beneficiation of the magnetite ores, we get a phenomenal 69% to 70% Fe from that. So it's a premium high-grade magnetite. As I say, again, it's outcropping on surface. So one that lends itself already to the existing steel mills or big iron ore corporations as they switch away from hematite.
Excellent. And the Yidby Gold Project, just put out an announcement, drilling commencing there. Tell us a little bit about where the project stands at the moment and what you have planned.
Yeah, this is a very exciting project. And I was also up there during this week with our executive chairman at the commencement of the drilling to familiarize myself with that project. And again, what ticks the boxes with this project is that it's very, very close to Perth. It's only 400 kilometers or less than 400 kilometers actually to the site location. It's in a existing gold district, meaning that there are existing large gold deposits within 30 kilometers of our project. It's in the same greenstone belt as these other gold huge gold resources. There's one to the south of us, Mount Gibson. It's 2.5 million ounces and growing. We're in the same rock types. We've got your traditional mix of porphyry with mafic and ultramafic mixed with structure, and we're getting gold. We have bonanza gold hits up to 80 grams per ton, and things are looking very promising there. The overall strike length of the anomalism that we have there at the moment is 3 kilometers. It's hanging together quite well now with more work that we do. We've got zones of 3 prospects within that, where we've identified gold from drilling and also from geochem work. And it's very exciting. Drilling, the gold mineralization tends to start around about 20 meters, 25 meters, and extends down at depth. So far, the deepest we've drilled is just over 250 meters. This current program is designed to extend the mineralization and also to test the structures that we've identified from our gravity and magnetic. So very exciting. We did see some free gold in the drill chips when I was up there, which is very good for any project. And we've also already done some potential initial metallurgical work for leaching, and the gold leaches very readily, which was extremely promising. We're currently doing some column leach test work on some core that was obtained last year. So this is a project that has some very, very good potential. Its scale is large. It's still open pretty much in every direction. As I mentioned, the geology there is exactly what you want, and is what you see in the goldfields in general here in WA. And location-wise, very, very close to the Great Northern Highway, in fact, just off it, and only less than 400 kilometers from Perth. So, yeah, a good project to have. And I think with the current environment globally, any company with a gold project that's producing good gold results must put a smile on their face, I think.
Absolutely. Good time to be in gold. Well, I mean, I think people understand the gold market at the moment. They understand, iron ore, pretty straightforward. Vanadium pentoxide, let's just go back to the Victory Bore project for a moment. Then vanadium pentoxide, tell us a little bit about the market for that, and where the sort of supply-demand looks, how that supply-demand looks at the moment, and where you might fit into that.
Yeah, it's very interesting structural changes going into the vanadium market at the moment. So the total market size is about 120,000 tonnes per annum. And I think you can see that a lot of that's still maybe 85% is going into the steel industry. You're seeing a larger uptake into the vanadium redox battery field as well now, particularly with the very large vanadium batteries that are being built in China and other areas in Europe, and indeed in the US. So I think you will see more vanadium going into the vanadium redox batteries in the next couple of years. In fact, I have seen forecasts potentially for about 20% for 2024. Therein lies the structural change, in that there are no new producers that have come on. And in fact, existing producers are now obviously depleting their own resources. We have issues in Russia, we have issues in China on export of vanadium. And the only very large producer is Largo in Brazil. So to satisfy the future demand, we need large vanadium deposits to come on stream sooner rather than later. And I think we are ideally placed from our position with our project because of its grade and location. So I think the outlook on one aspect is very, very positive. And we have seen strengthening in the vanadium price over the last couple of months, which is good. It's not racing up and racing down again. It's steadily increasing, promising sign. And you're not going to see a slowdown in the use of vanadium in steel. In fact, that is a bit of the green trend. As I'm sure you're aware, the more vanadium goes in, the less other additives that need to be added. So the steel rebar becomes a bit greener. Large construction going on in the Middle East, large construction going on in India, and also continued in China. So I think the outlook is very, very favorable.
Absolutely. And in terms of, just to wrap things up a little bit here, talk about the financials of the company a little bit. tell us a little bit about your sort of, your cash position, but also market cap of the company. You've got some big projects there. How does that compare with where your market cap's sitting at the moment?
Yeah, great question, Leo. Look, I think any company that had any one of our projects, if you compare them to some of our peers around, the market cap is much higher. So we have 3 projects that have really been under the radar as far as the market's concerned. The value is not seen in the share price or the market cap. Market cap of the company is less than 30 million, and share price is hovering around about 1.8 cents at the moment. So we expect a considerable re-rating as we bring these projects to market now. There's the opportunity for people. So any one of these projects, if we looked at some peers that are perhaps focused only on vanadium, their share prices is a multiple of ours. So that, combined with the clear message that we're going to be providing about each project's location and the potential, I think should translate into a significant opportunity for investors.
And in terms of news flow over the next few weeks and months, what should people be looking out for?
Well, clearly we've got the Yidby drilling. I mean, that'll produce some new news flow and some results. It's always good to have drill holes going and lab samples in the lab for assay, especially for gold at the moment. In addition, there'll be news flow on some alternative plans that we have for our vanadium flagship project. I should mention there, Leo, actually, that we have a unique amount of aluminium oxide in the boundaries of the vanadium ore. And we're looking at that at the moment. As you know, vanadium aluminium oxide is a good feedstock for high purity aluminium, which is of considerable value at the moment and growing in understanding, etc., for the battery market and coatings. In fact, it's going to be required. So we are looking at that as an additional byproduct of our vanadium. So, we're doing some work on that, and we probably will be announcing some news flow from that as well. And then, of course, we get on to the magnetite, and once we get onto the ground there again, some more news flow, but also we can expect some corporate activity, and general discussions are already in place with potential offtake partners and those for each of our projects. So I can see a good news flow over the next 6 to 12 months.
Watch this space. Well, thank you very much for that overview of the company. You've got a lot on your plate at the moment, but lots of exciting things ahead. Thank you very much for joining us today, Paul.
You're very welcome, Leo. Thanks very much.